How's it going, everybody? Francesco Bologna here. Welcome back to another beat making episode. Now, as you could see before you, that's right, I am back with more beat making episodes. And as you could see, I've pretty much completely changed my setup. So, first of all, for those of you that don't know, no, it is not this computer over here that is running the music. The entire setup is run by this little guy. I don't know if you can actually see it on the screen, but that right there, that little box, that is where I'm running my setup. So yeah, a little cube, very small computer, capable of handling lots of VSTs, and it's portable. So I pretty much paid like $600 for it, and what can I say? It's a portable little cube, and you could pretty much take it anywhere, and it's a desktop, so it's the best of both worlds. So, what's going on today? Well, yesterday I actually finished a brand new track. It's called Alive, and this is actually one of those old tracks that I worked on back in high school when I was using Reason. And the reason why I wanted to work on it this time in Sonar was because of the simple fact that back in Reason, let's just say the song wasn't optimized very well. So yeah, it needed a bit of a rework. So here it is in all of its glory. So basically, what I did for this round is I pretty much used 12 tracks, basically 5 of them being audio, and 8 of them being, 7 of them being MIDI. And as always with all of our beat making videos, we're pretty much going to go through them track by track by track, and I'm going to give you guys the breakdown of how this all works. So let us start with track number 1. This is our first VST. It's a brand new VST that I used. In fact, funny thing is, most of these VSTs, most of them are brand new. I've never used these VSTs before in any of my previous projects. So let's play with them. First one is called a drum box synth. And yeah, one thing I love about it, the biohazard symbol. And basically it is the deep drum synthesizer Sonic XTC. And for this patch I chose the Ranger kit, and I pretty much played with the attack just to have some bottom end to the drums. Unfortunately, the drums do sound weak, and basically this is what the drums actually sound like. So yeah, it's pretty much quantized, and I mean, what more can you ask for if you want a quantized loop? Also, I added an effect. I added ozone from Isotope, and I chose electronic as a preset for the equalizer. So if I, for example, turn off ozone, this is what it sounds like without it. And then turn it back on. So yeah, it gives the drums a bit more bottom end that I really need for a track like this, because I mean, if the drums are going to be weak, you need to have some effects to bring it up a bit, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that was pretty much the drums, and now we're pretty much gonna get away from the drums, and we're gonna focus on track number 2. track number 2 is a brand new VST. Mind you, in all my years of making music, I have never experienced anything involving N-Sonic. And yes, you heard me, N-Sonic. What you're about to see, ladies and gentlemen, is a brand new VST that I got from the Arturia collection. I've never played any of the N-Sonic synthesizers, that being the Fismo, the ESQ1, the Mirage, or in this case, SQ80. So this is SQ80. This is based on the original N-Sonic SQ80. And basically I chose the default patch, Fading Memory, because, what can I say, I love it. And the sustain that you have on the entire sound when you play it. And for those of you that do not know, similar to the Dave Smith instruments and the Oberheim keyboards, the N-Sonic was very famous for the Curtis filter chip, which was heavily used in the SQ80. In fact, when I watched the interview with the developers of Arturia, they did mention that they had to actually model onto a real SQ80, meaning they actually had to pull the instrument apart, take a look inside the circuitry, and actually try to mimic the sounds of the original unit. So this is what basically track number 2 sounds like from the Arturia SQ80V. It just sounds beautiful, it really does. And then for here I pretty much added a reverb. This is Cakewalk's reverb preset. And basically what I did was I pretty much chose the Hall as the preset because, I mean, turn it off and this is what it sounds like without it. Turn it back on, and this is what it will sound like with it. So basically it gives it a bit more ambience to the sound. So yeah, that was basically track number 2, which was the SQ80V. Again, full disclaimer, I have never in my entire life played any of the N-Sonic synthesizers, and to be honest with you, I am just so happy that I actually own an Arturia SQ80. So, alright, let's move on to the next track. I'm just gonna jump ahead a bit. This next track, I used something old, a very old VST that I've had for a very long time, part of the HG Fortune collection. Basically, this is pretty much the old collection of synthesizers that I had before jumping into Omnisphere. So before Omnisphere, I had the HG Fortune collection, which had Ultra Swamp, Astral Dreamer, Serenity, which, by the way, Serenity is still, to this day, my all-time favorite VST because it was the very first one I ever experienced. And this time I decided to use one I haven't used in a long time, and that's Ultra Swamp. So I pretty much took the initialized patch because, I mean, it just sounds that good. And so let's just play the track and I'll show you what it sounds like. So yeah, this is Ultra Swamp track number 3. I took the initialized patched. I actually added another reverb. I added Raum from Native Instruments, and I took the preset Stardust as my reverb. If I turn it off, this is what it sounds like without the reverb. So yeah, you can hear it sounds very dry. And also, one thing I forgot to mention, all 3 of these tracks, they all have been quantized to go with 100 BPM for the tempo. So yeah, that's pretty much the Ultra Swamp. I'm not sure what happened with the HG Fortune website, but funny thing you should know, I actually burned the entire HG Fortune VST plugins, the entire collection, onto a CD-ROM, so I could just load them onto any computer from now on. And I mean, those are usually the first VSTs I would always install whenever I want to build a music PC. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. Next, let's move on to this next track. This next track is, from my understanding, it is an arpeggio. And this is a brand new VST that I've used for the very first time. I've never used this VST before. So basically this is called Dreamer. It's made by Odo 2004. And this is pretty much my bass sound. And it actually says analog bass. So that's my preset that I chose. And yeah, I pretty much used arpeggio for that, and this is what the track sounds like. And then if we open it up, yes, once again, I've added another reverb. This time I used Sonatus. And for Sonatus, I pretty much used... I really can't remember what the preset was for this, because unfortunately it doesn't... the one thing I'm not a fan of for Sonatus is the fact that it doesn't show me the selected reverb that I chose, because usually when you pick a preset, and usually when you have this menu, usually you would expect a check mark next to the actual selected, next to the selected sound. So I'm just gonna take a very, very, very wild guess out of the blue and say I probably chose, I'm guessing, in either the drum loop or the synth ambience. It has to be one of those two, if I remembered correctly. And if I turn it off, this is what it sounds like without it. So yeah, that was Dreamer, track number 4. And now, before we move on to the next track, with all due respect for the music community, I would first like it to take this moment to offer a moment of silence, please. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for that moment of silence. The reason why I wanted to give a moment of silence is because, as you can actually see on the display, the VST, yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is in fact the Prophet. And for those that may or may not know, sadly, the creator of the Prophet, the legendary synthesizer maker himself, Mr. Dave Smith, unfortunately passed away a few weeks ago. So this is basically me playing this specific synthesizer, the Arturia Prophet, in Dave Smith's honor. And as you probably may have seen in the short video, I do also own a hardware Mofo X4, which is the smallest polyphonic synthesizer that Dave Smith created. I love it, and I mean, it just shows how much Dave Smith pretty much cared for the music industry, and may he rest in peace. So basically what I did here was I chose Prophet strings. I was pretty much sifting through the library of the Prophet, and let me turn off the arpeggio here. I obviously had some strings in this song, so I pretty much took the Prophet took the Prophet strings, put them into track number 5, and this is pretty much the hook between the first verse, the second verse, and the reframe. And the hook sounds like this basically. And fun fact that you should know about that last note. I recorded this note specifically my index finger was on the note by mistake, and it accidentally recorded itself onto it, and now it's in the song. So who knew that one little mistake can turn into pure genius. Alright, so let's move on to the next track. Actually, you know what? I want to save this track for the very end because it's actually a very special surprise. Let's just jump to track number 7 instead. So with track number 7, what I did here was I used the UVI workstation series, and usually I would go for the Saturn series, but this time I went for something completely different, completely random. And again, full disclaimer, for the second time in this entire video, I have no experience with the N-Sonic synthesizers. So what I did was I chose the UVI, and the synth I used was Desmo. Now, for those of you that do not know, Desmo is based on the original N-Sonic Fismo, which was definitely a real-time transwave soundware. And I mean, unfortunately, from what I've heard in the recent reviews, there has been a lot of flack to it, but honestly, I like the Fismo. I really like it. And the Desmo, what I did was I chose Standard Bell as my preset, and then down here I actually had to play with the A on the amplitude, as well as on the filter A as well, and a bit of depth. A, for those that don't know, stands for attack, so ADSR. So yeah, I pretty much used that, tweaked it a bit, and this is what it sounds like. And mind you, once again, I used the arpeggio. Okay, hang on, my bad. Let's solo that and let's play it back. And mind you, both arpeggio tracks, Dreamer and UVI Fismo, those took a lot of long hours just to perfect and to nail. So yeah, it was a pain in the rear, but at the end of the day, it's well worth it. All right. Let me just quickly check. Did I put any effects on it? No. Okay, good. No effects. All right. The moment of truth. The track that I skipped. First of all, let's play it back. So, you're all probably asking yourselves, what kind of synthesizer makes that specific sound? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can safely assure you that unless you are very lucky to find the specific synth, you're never going to find the sound anywhere else unless you recreate it. As for me, I actually was lucky enough to find that synth, that specific synth, and beyond that, I opened it up, took a look at the circuitry myself, and for the past 10 years of learning synthesis and how it works and what have you, ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to announce that this specific sound, track number 6, Contact, was actually made using, that's right, the GEM Equinox. As you can see, this is my Contact library. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what I like to call GEM Club Equinox. And why do I call it GEM Club? Because obviously it's pretty much a synthesizer made by the community for the community. And the reason why is because I pretty much sampled basically the GEM Equinox plus a few sounds from a few online demos from the S3 series, that being S3 and S3 Turbo, as well as the S2 series as well. And basically what I done is I pretty much made a complete package featuring basically one-shot sounds, arpeggio, drum kits, full grooves. I mean, GEM Club Equinox has many things for artists to enjoy, and there is more coming along the way because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That's right, I have the GEM Equinox right here. So yeah, after 10 years of researching, of learning synthesis, of basically learning the architecture of, the filters, LFOs, and everything and what have you, ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to announce I am officially building a Contact library for the GEM series Equinox. And as of now, what we have so far is basically 500 sounds out of 2000. But mind you, there's a lot more coming along the way, because the fact that I now have the actual gem Equinox, my next step, the next part of the project, is to basically sample every last sound from the Equinox and then optimize it to meet the modern era. And then once that's done, I'm hoping, and I'm actually pushing forward to make an email to Native Instruments. I really want this to be a VST that's basically available for everybody, because obviously, I mean, this specific Contact library is pretty much a heritage of all the synthesizers that General Music were famous for, and the fact that I have the real deal Equinox, now I can actually sample them into Contact and literally showcase what Gem Equinox was capable of back in the day. And plus, lots of producers rarely hear Equinox nowadays because it's a very rare synth. So what I wanted to do was to pretty much give back to the community by creating the Contact library, so that whether you own the Equinox or you do not own the Equinox, you're going to basically have an Equinox at you at all times, because obviously as a Contact library you can pretty much play with any instrument. So besides the Equinox plug out of the way, basically what I did was I actually stacked instruments together, and this is why I love Contact so much. It's the fact that you can actually stack multiple instances of Contact libraries together. So in this case what I did was I did two Equinox libraries. The first one is 014 Dabels 3. That's the first partial. And then if I scroll down to the second partial, this is 044 Odyssey. So it's a very, very aggressive pad. And also, just to reiterate, I actually put two effects onto this one. First one I picked was a Juno 6 chorus from Arturia. I pretty much picked modes 1 and 2. So now you have both, you pretty much have both choruses on. Mono out. I picked it to stereo, cranked the mix all the way up, and the rate I pretty much left it as it is. So also I used Raum again, Native Instruments. I used Cosmic, the caramel guitar, as the preset for this specific sound. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna basically play this 3 times. I'm going to show you what it sounds like without the effects. And now we're going to turn on the chorus. And yeah, that was basically Gem Club Equinox on my Contact library for Contact. And yeah, I'm gonna basically keep you guys posted, but like I said, hopefully this summer, one thing I would like to do is continue the project by actually starting to sample the instrument itself. Because right now what I've done was I pretty much sampled sounds from the online content, which is basically Synthopia, because Synthopia had a few demos and sound examples available for the S3 and the Equinox. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually sample the hardware instrument itself, since now I actually have a copy of it. And hopefully by the end of the day, what I would like to do is, like I said, get into contact with Native Instruments and see if we can make this synth licensable. And if not, then we're gonna just have to make it available to the public. Because, I mean, this is... The synth is pretty much like, you know, workstation. So it's like, you know, Halion Sonic, Omnisphere, the Korg M1, the Korg Triton. I mean, these are commercial libraries, and Gem should be commercial because, I mean, Gem was very popular back in the day, and the fact that now Gem is defunct, I mean, it's sad that we're never going to see another General Music synthesizer in forever, and usually all these vintage synths are usually commercial libraries. Like, for example, the UVI series, they pretty much took the best of Ensoniq, and mind you, Ensoniq was another company that went defunct as well. So, I mean, even Arturia. I mean, you take all these sounds from different brands, and then you turn it into a commercial unit that everybody can buy. You know. Okay, so enough rambling. Let's move on now to the audio tracks. So, funny thing you should know about the audio tracks is the fact that what I did here is something different. Unfortunately, for those of you that do not know, one of my long time microphones, you can't really see it, but it's off screen. The microphone pretty much went dead, and this was a microphone that I've had for a long time. It's called the KLM, or the KLM, and nowadays I'm using the Blue Snowball. So basically what I had to do for this round, because obviously my KLM microphone died, I had to record basically everything off the iPhone. So yeah, all my audio, all the vocals came directly from the iPhone. So this is what my voice sounds like. Mind you, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I'm just going to show you an example.
I wanted to go out just to visit the club. I wanted to go there just to find my love.
So yeah, this actually took multiple takes to actually nail the pitch with the sound of the beat correctly. But after about 3 takes, I think we got something good here. And then for the second verse, which is the hook, I actually started doubling up my voice so that it sounds like a harmony, basically. And this is what the harmony sounds like.
And everything's gonna be alright. And everything is gonna be alright.
And then I pretty much did the same with the reframe. I've added an extra track over here just to interfere with the chorus and everything. And then finally, the last track is actually my favorite track, my favorite audio track in the entire song, because for this one I actually wanted to pull up a Daft Punk type vibe. And so what I did was I pretty much recorded my voice onto, once again, the iPhone, but this time I actually ran it through an effect, one of my favorite instrument effects that I really enjoy. And I want to give a shout out to Isotope for making it, and it's basically called Vocal Synth 2. And what I pretty much chose was the preset Furious Robots. So that was the preset I chose for these 2 specific tracks. And this is pretty much what my voice sounds like through a vocoder preset.
I am alive.
alive, like a rocket, I will go so high. I am alive, like a missile, I will be flying by. I am alive, like a rocket, I will go so high. I'm alive, for you I am alive. I am alive.
So yeah, and those are pretty much the last two tracks of pretty much the entire song. So you blend them all together and you do the mixing. As you can actually see on the screen, I actually did the mix before doing the export. This time the mix was actually a bit more difficult to do because of the fact that there were so much reverbs going on, so I had to pretty much play with the levels a lot. Pretty much took me 2 hours just to arrange the mix. And then finally I added a master bus, and for that I used Ozone 9 on my master. So Ozone 9, I pretty much chose alternative as the preset, and if I turn off the overall master, this is what basically it sounds like. So play it back.
You'll be alright, this game is for you.
Like a rocket, I will go so high. I am alive, like a missile, I will be flying by. I am alive, like a rocket, I will go so high. I'm alive, for you I am alive. I am alive, like a rocket, I will go so high. I am alive, like a missile.
Obviously I'm not going to play you guys the entire song, but I think now you guys pretty much get the idea. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Alive. That was pretty much my very first song that I worked on in Reason. It was Reason 4. And honestly, I'm super happy that I got to be able to work on this in Sonar and actually perfect it, as opposed to what it originally was, which was unfortunately terrible. But at the end of the day, I mean, I made this song back in high school, so of course it was going to be cringe. So the fact that I had to update it, redo it, and remaster it, and this time add, like, you know, the stuff that I already know about music, I think I nailed the song. I think I nailed the song better than I did in high school. So yeah. So the song itself is gonna be out on YouTube. I mean, it's probably out now if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, check it out. I'll leave the link in the description, and that's pretty much it for me. So thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.